You're watching CNBC TV18. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Here are the headlines this evening. Markets gained for the second day in a row. The Nifty and the Sensex close as 2 weeks highs. The rupee sees its strongest close versus the dollar since December last year. India is aiming for 6 to 8% growth rate over the next decade, say top union ministers at Davos. Indian government waves the green flag to Apple's Chinese suppliers, confirming a CNBC TV18 news break. 14 suppliers get initial clearance to expand in India as Apple moves to diversify its network beyond China.
People want effective and resilient supply chains. The cost efficiency, which was driving the entire globalization, that is no longer the sole factor. Today, supply chains have to be anti-fragile. Supply chains have to work, whatever be the magnitude of global disruption. So combine all those factors and the experience that we have had in the last few years, there would be many more supply chain partners who are looking at alternate geographies, alternate places, and India is of course a very important destination.
Microsoft is reportedly planning thousands of job cuts across divisions amid a slowing demand and weak global economic outlook. Sky News cites sources says that the tech giant is planning to lay off 11,000 people, or 5% of its workforce. Earlier this month, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella told Shireen Bhan that Microsoft is not immune to global challenges. He said the next 2 years will be challenging.
Are we likely to see more pain, especially when it comes to retrenching, downsizing, margins going to be under pressure, guidance going to be a downside risk to that as well?
We have to measure ourselves with the new bar. So definitely and also the growth picture has changed. We have to have operating expenses that need to be aligned. So definitely we are going to look at all of that, and it means that we're not sort of immune, as I said, to the global changes.
Adani Enterprises targets raising 20,000 crore rupees, files papers for a follow-on public offer, intends to use half of the proceeds towards capex for subsidiaries, green hydrogen, infra projects. The company is planning to have an FPO in the last week of January. HDFC Life seeks the blessings of the insurance regulator to enter the health insurance market. Sources say the company will focus on critical illness products after regulatory approval. That's an exclusive. Maruti Suzuki will be recalling over 17,000 cars to inspect and replace faulty airbags. The impacted models include Alto, Brezza, Baleno, Grand Vitara and others that were manufactured between 8th of December and 12th of January this year. Delhi High Court asks former BharatPe CEO Ashwini Grover to respond within 30 days to co-founder Bhavik Koladia's lawsuit seeking to reclaim shares he transferred to Grover. The court also ordered Grover not to create any third-party rights for the 16,110 shares in question. Top pharma companies approached the Bombay High Court to seek clarity on treatment of free samples and gifts under GST. The CBIC is opposed to pharma majors' view that free samples and gifts are input costs and hence should be entitled to input tax credit. Fresh trouble for Jet Airways. Mumbai district authorities attach 4 aircraft parked at the Mumbai International Airport for non-payment of gratuity dues. This comes just days after the National Company Law Tribunal allowed the transfer of airlines ownership to Jalan Calroc Consortium. Ukrainian Interior Minister among 18 others killed in a chopper crash near a nursery and a residential building, a city near Kyiv. The casualty list includes children as well. Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia says BJP MP Tejasvi Surya opened the emergency exit door of an Indigo flight by mistake, adds that he had already apologized for the incident.
When the incident happened, Tejasvi Surya ji himself reported that incident, based on which the full protocol was followed, as DGCA itself has investigated and enunciated. And after the full protocol was followed, pressurization was checked, all the other checks were put in place, only then did the aircraft take off. And I think he himself apologized for the delay that was caused due to that. And that, as I mentioned, was an incident that happened on the ground. Only after all the checks were done was the aircraft allowed to take off.
Election Commission sounds the poll bugle in Tripura, Nagaland and Meghalaya. Tripura goes to polls on the 16th of February in a single phase. Meghalaya and Nagaland will vote on the 27th of February. Counting would take place on the 2nd of March. Telangana Chief Minister KCR eyes a role at the national stage ahead of 2024 Lok Sabha election. His party holds its first public rally after being renamed to Bharat Rashtra Samiti. Top opposition leaders, including Chief Ministers of Kerala, Punjab and Delhi, attend the meeting in Khammam. Several wrestlers, including Olympic medalist Sakshi Malik and Bajrang Punia, protest in Delhi's Jantar Mantar, raised serious allegations against Federation officials and its chief, Brij Bhushan Singh. Commonwealth and Asian Games gold medalist Vinesh Fogart accuses Singh, who is also a BJP MP, of sexually harassing many girls. Singh claims there is no truth in the allegations. We're going to take a short break here, but news and updates continue on the other side. Quick look now at all the market action today. The market clock gains for the second day in a row, with the Nifty and the Sensex closing at 2 weeks highs. Prashant Nair is here with a wrap on the day's action.
Well, the market once again registering a triple-digit gain, over 100 points on the Nifty and looking good all across. We had the banks which also participated, unlike the banks which underperformed a little bit yesterday. The Bank Nifty actually got to an important level. It got to exactly the 20-day moving average, a short-term level closely watched, and then reversed from there, but good close. Nifty gains coming through in sectors like metals, so names like Hindalco, Tata Steel stood out. L&T did well yesterday, it did well today. UPL, Wipro and the HDFC twins for a second day running doing pretty okay. Losses in names like Tata Motors, Ultratech, HDFC Life, which came under a little bit of selling pressure. There was follow-through in the broader market as well. Advanced decline was not wildly positive, some 1,200 stocks higher, 1,000 stocks lower. But Sula, for the third day running, is having a very good week. Just Dial was up sharply after yesterday's gains. BLS, TVS Electronics, Atul Auto, Mirza International, Landmark, Dhani Services were some of the stocks which actually did quite well. New age themes have been under pressure, and that continued. Nykaa and Delivery both were lower in terms of what went down. ICICI Lombard reacting pretty sharply to numbers which were not that big a miss. Bank of India for the second day running after numbers yesterday losing steam. Delta Corp earnings reaction on the downside. Radico and Minda Corp were some reversals. Minda was up 5 yesterday. It gave back pretty much all of it in trade today. The market is at an interesting juncture. It conquered the 20-day moving average yesterday, the Nifty that is. The Bank Nifty is almost at the 20-day, touched that and then pulled back a little bit. The question is, can we add a couple of 100 points quickly from here if global markets remain supportive? They have been supporting. The Nasdaq has gone up for 7 straight sessions. The S&P was down only a little bit yesterday. I think provided global cues remain supportive, the dollar is well behaved, I think there may be a little bit more to go.
Thanks, Prashant, for joining us. And the Bombay High Court has issued notices to the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs and the GST Council on the pleas filed by pharma companies. We learned that pharma companies had approached the Bombay High Court seeking clarity on free samples and gifts to be considered as genuine expenses under GST. The drug makers feel free samples and gifts are costs for the business promotion and marketing, and wrong treatment under GST is leading to blockage of input tax credit. However, the CBI believes that free samples and gifts are also sales and are not entitled to the input costs. A CNBC-TV18 news break confirmed the central government has given initial clearance to 14 Chinese suppliers of Apple to expand operations in India. However, for a complete clearance, these companies will have to find an Indian company as a partner for a joint venture.
People want effective and resilient supply chains. The cost efficiency, which was driving the entire globalization, that is no longer the sole factor. Today, supply chains have to be anti-fragile. Supply chains have to work, whatever be the magnitude of global disruption. So combine all those factors and the experience that we have had in the last few years, there would be many more supply chain partners who are looking at alternate geographies, alternate places, and India is of course a very important destination.
Microsoft is the latest company to join the layoff wave. The firm has said that it is contemplating cutting about 5% of its workforce, which accounts to 11,000 roles at the company. Reports have suggested that the job cuts would be across human resources and engineering. The company had earlier laid off 1,000 employees, which impacted less than 1% of the software giant's workforce. Sequoia-backed car repair platform Go Mechanic has announced that it will be laying off around 70% of its workforce. The company's co-founder, Amit Bhasin, has admitted to financial reporting errors. Bhasin also added that the company is now seeking capital solutions and is attempting to restructure. This comes after the startup was in talks to raise funds from investors like SoftBank and Tiger Global, but the deals were called off due to financial irregularities. Hospitality startup Oyo is set to refile its draft red herring prospectus with market regulator SEBI by mid-February. Remember, 2 weeks ago, Oyo was asked to refile its DRHP with additional sections such as risk factors, key performance indicators, basis for valuation and other details. Meanwhile, sources have told Money Control that the company expects to get an approval by April this year. All right, on that note, we take a short break, but more news and updates continue on the other side.